worry about the baby, okay? Whatever happens. Did you guys ever order that chair?
Yes.
It's you, Sensei.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Now we need one for out here for the grandma.
Right.
Is it working?
It's working okay.
Okay.
It is a little short for her, but we can kind of angle it.
Hi, baby. Oh, you're so cute. Are you ready? Look at her. So cute. All right. So just a couple, communications in the group and here. It's always good to touch on this stuff. And I think you should always go back and listen to things, the podcast, read things. If you were trying to learn something about someone or their position, you wouldn't just come to class. You would read things, you'd watch things. It doesn't have to be much, right? You don't have to operate at the levels that I would have and did, right? So you guys didn't see my room, when I was in graduate school. I mean, my wall was books, and those books that were in my room were probably 10% of the books I read. Okay. Or even with, let's just more recent with Chiba Sensei. I would just watch those videos over and over and over again. Or to this day, right, I still study films of people doing things that are beyond my skills. So, I watch Ben Stoker a lot. I listen to him. The guy can shoot like crazy. It's absolutely insane. I pay the freaking $100 a month to get in his little Patreon group, right? And there's no one-to-one interaction. It's just like he basically, it's a YouTube channel is what it is, really, right? It's topics all over the place. But if you're studying diligently and then you do the work, especially the work he's telling you to do, and you couple that, I read all his stuff. I get the gear he says to get, why he says it. If I'm not understanding what he's saying at first, I don't go, he's wrong. Like, that would be stupid. It's like, I can't do what he's doing. I'm not understanding why he's right. Do you see? That's the attitude of someone who's trying to get better. That's huge. What I've always found is that if you do that and you keep doing the work they're telling you to do, eventually what at first seemed wrong to you, you start to realize that it was right and how and why it was right. Okay? But in there is that you're actually looking at things. So go back, listen to the podcast. I mean, how hard is that? Right? Today, when I was in graduate school, it was like, order books from the Berkeley Library and wait for them to get to the Santa Barbara Library, and then decide, should I just steal it because it's out of print and I'll just pay the library fine? Do you know what I mean? Because this was just too much hassle. Right? And then you're working with highlighter and pen and pencil in the book, and then your own personal notes and stuff. Or you get some ear pods, you stick your phone on the side and you're working. You probably won't catch everything, but if you do it regularly, you will catch new things. Do you see? And you go back and wait, what was that one? Oh, shit. Okay? It's not that hard with today's technological advances. Okay? Again, you can watch a video. You don't have to watch the whole thing. You can watch it. You can slow it down. You can blow it up. Do you see? They're so easy if you wanted it. But that's part of getting better. Okay? So a lot of times, and then we also know from what I teach is that you are always going to usurp the teaching. You won't get the teaching, which now this makes even more sense, that you go back and you review things, because there's no way you're going to get it. You're going to change it. Okay, because it's going to be filtered through the ego tripartite. So it's going to be filtered such that you can remain the same. Because that ego tripartite mind is all about, right, homeostasis. Do not change. So this is like why we have to do so many variations on a drill, or like I said last night, is like you're gonna usurp it. I take whatever part that is still on the path that you got, and then we work from there, right? So like for example today, right, we're doing ikkyo, but you have to not do the ikkyo you've been doing because that was never right. You have to do this ikkyo with the internal skills that you're developing. Do you see that? So what happened is like you were always doing ikkyo wrong. I let you keep doing ikkyo wrong because you can't do it right. But we take parts out of it, do you see? And we build and build, okay? Well, that's more reason to go back and see what new things you can discover. Okay? And one of the things that is very, very hard to understand because of how much cultural obstacles there are to it is what is this that I'm actually doing? What am I doing? It's called the way. I've heard him say it's the way. I've heard him say it's the Silk Road technology of self. I've heard him say it's a wisdom tradition. Well, you're going to usurp that. You don't want to do that as a Deshi. You want to know, what do I think that is? Okay? You want to know my understanding of it, not your understanding of it. But you have to know in the process, you're going to have your understanding of it. Okay? Your understanding of it can't be right, just like your ikkyo can't be right. Your ikkyo can't be right until you can do the internals. There's no freaking way. You're doing a wrong version of ikkyo. But you're learning things, and so it's okay. But it's not okay. Do you got it? It's not okay. It's just what happens naturally. Well, you get something like, what is this? What is the way? What am I doing this for? You're going to, because of how much culture, there's so much cultural history, your ability to escape from it is next to impossible. Just as much, if not more, as your ability to do ikkyo without using external force engines. It's impossible. So one of the things that and this is what I want to talk about, is in the way that my ikkyo, so if you take that video from last night and you see it in light of the Kokyu game we were doing, do you see? And now you know that's what's going on in the Kihon. You would know that there's no one else doing that except the people that can do it here. That they're always going to use the external force engines. And that's not at all what I'm doing. And they can't achieve what I'm achieving with it. They do different things. So, for example, it'll only work on their best ukes. They can't get the brand new beginner to, percussively project and go into the front inward kazushi. Only their best fake dressage ponies can do it. Do you understand? But you guys have seen me do it. It doesn't matter who the uke is. It doesn't matter even if they resist, or if they're afraid or whatever. Their body is going to do that. The only modification I do is I don't do it with so much force that they're going to get hurt. But they will do exactly the same thing. So, my way is not common. Your job is to figure out, from a certain point of view, what makes it uncommon. And you have to be careful about how it appears common to you. Because what makes it common is what your culture and your ego tripartite mind is telling you it should be, so that you remain the same. For example, you've heard me say the path leads to divine communion. But now you fill that in. You see, you fill it in with what? I don't know, what does that mean to you? What does it mean? What's it mean?
It leads to peace of mind and just relaxation.
Okay, peace of mind and relaxation. Do you see that? What do you got?
It leads to a deeper connection to everyone who's around you.
Okay, so like it improves your relationships and things like that. What do you got?
A feeling of being one with other people, with whatever environment you're in. There's no feeling of separateness.
Okay, so and what's that feel like?
It's hard to describe, Sensei.
Go for it.
It's almost like I feel like I'm floating. There's no conscious thought almost.
So it feels like floating?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know, go for it. You heard the words. What the heck does that mean?
It allows you to have a deeper connection with God.
Okay, and what does that result in? Anyone, what does that result
Loss
in?
of self.
What?
A loss of self.
What does that, what does that mean? He has a deeper relationship with God and you're like, I lost myself. What's that mean? What's it mean?
It's acceptance, it's surrendering, it's...
And what does that do for me?
It kills you.
So it's the same as like suicide? Okay, so what's it do for me?
It brings us to experience something outside of commonality or culture.
So it's like tourism. Like I go to exotic land I've never been at. Okay, what does it mean then? What do you got?
When I first heard that term, it made me think of like the Christian mystics, like a Thomas Merton or something like
Okay,
that.
all right. And what do they say? Anyone can talk. And you guys have read the Christian mystics because we've had the reading assignments. So what does that mean? And what's the point of that?
You're not resisting reality, meaning you're not falling into anxiety or depression or a victim mentality.
Okay, so I just learned to accept things. Like I have zero fucks, right? I get the ZF, you know, those patches on me, and I'm all zero fucks. I'm out of fucks. Is that what it means? Right? And then what would be the point of that? Go back to your peace of mind?
Yeah,
Okay.
not falling into depression and anxiety because you don't like the way things are going.
I'm kind of like even. I don't have those things, and like that's better than having those things.
Right.
Okay, so it's kind of like feels good. Do you see that? What else did they say? Those mystics.
But didn't the mystics say more like it would kill you, it would destroy you and just chew you up?
Yeah, and you could go into their life, their history, and go, hey, where are all their buds? You guys talked about all these relationships.
They're all alone.
They're all alone, right? They're alone for who? Except for whom?
God.
Yeah, or the other one who's ready to be alone at that same level with God. Do you see? And what's the peace? Like you go, well, right? A lot of them were freaking martyred, tortured, killed. Talk about anxiety. You know what I mean? It's like somehow, in other words, it's like we started making this thing something I never said. And in fact, something opposite of what I did say, which if you go back and you'll see, he said, no, that's not it. Okay. So we have a lot, as you're a modern person, especially in Santa Barbara and California, right? I mean, come on, this is the birth of the New Age movement, right? And this is the mecca of I'm spiritual, not religious. Do you know what I mean, right? And that goes everywhere out. Okay, and so we have this propensity of what we think is positive. And that's spiritual. And then, right? And then you go a little deeper and it's really just worldly things. You see? Because I feel good. It's really what it is. I don't feel bad. I feel good. Right? Well, we have all kinds of things like that. Well, the point of life is happiness. You see? Well, this used to be called hedonism. It's not. It's the opposite. Or sometimes too, we have all kinds of ways, like that in our spiritual parenthetical, not religious. We have these other ways that's positive, and then but if you look deeper, it's just modern positivity. It's just and so it always comes back to a hedonism, always back to I'm trying to feel good. It always does, right? So you have for example in your Budo training we use fear, right? And then you overcome your fear. Let's say we do something violent and scary, and then you do the practice, and you did it. You didn't quit. Do you understand? It's kind of like you jumped out of a plane. Woo! You're on a high. Do you get it? Do you understand?
Right.
So it feels good. You feel good about it. You get a kind of rush, a kind of high. You get the adrenaline dump. You feel like you accomplished something that was challenging, like a Tough Mudder, right? You get it? You see how we do all these things in today's modernity. Right? But from my way, you failed because you had the fear in the first place. Do you get that?
Right.
And so you usurp it and make it seem like you did good. No, right? That's not what happened. You did terrible. Okay, because the fear is the self-attachment. If you weren't self-attached, you wouldn't have the fear. Do you see that? You did terrible. Right? We're not going to say you did great and then the fact that you came back, you did great. No, we're just saying fail, try again. Do you see that difference? So we have a lot of that, and so like one of them, last time we did Zazen on Saturday. And I told you, and you in particular, that you're going to have thoughts that come into your mind. You're going to have, just as you're going to have tensions come into your mind, you're going to have sensations that come into your body, right? And you're going to have emotions that arise. Your practice is not for you to experience those emotions. Your practice is not to experience those emotions. Do you get that? But as I was told today, it's all like, oh, you cry and you're letting it out. And that's what we tell each other today as moderns. Do you understand that? You cry, you let it out. You failed. You cried because you had self-attachment. You failed, try again. There's no freaking accolade for coming back and trying again. That's normal. That's not a big thing. It's just like Tough Mudder. The Tough Mudder it is, oh, you quit, Tough Mudder. This one, I made it. Who gives a F? You quit the first one. Do you get it? You could put this in warrior terms, right? It was warrior terms, and you cowered, right? That's a failure. There's no accolades for coming back again and trying again. This one is a failure. This is a deviation from the teaching, in other words. So the first thing is one, it's not hedonism. It doesn't lead to those things. Your peace, your relationships, your happiness, it doesn't lead to those things. In fact, I would tell you this. The more you can release, the more exposure you will take or you will give of yourself to those environments that actually generate those things. You won't seek less. You will, by the nature of it, you will seek more of that, what others will call pain and burden and suffering. Now, it won't be less. And you can see that in the myths. They're trying to tell you something. So that means it's something different. You just have to figure out, well, what is it? What is it? It's not releasing my feelings. It's not feeling good. It's something different. I never said it was that. I said it wasn't that. It's something else. What you have to do as a deshi is go, well, what is it that he is saying it is? One way you can do this is what the ancients have done is you would ask yourself, is this universal and permanent? And if it's not, then you know it's ego tripartite. Okay, do you understand this little thing? So let's say you go, this time with our baby at this age feels wonderful, magnificent. But is it universal and permanent? Do you see that? Or you go, this peace I have right now, is it going to be universal and permanent? And so when you do this, you know that thing is not the thing. Okay? This is the whole point of the Buddha's teaching of impermanence. Gets right to the cut of it. Anything worldly is impermanent, is delusional. What the heck does that mean? Delusional in light of what is the teaching. Okay? It's not clear. This is the other thing you can do. It's not clear because when you are learning, it's being filtered through that ego tripartite mind where it is being usurped. And that mind will give it clarity. And you could almost reverse engineer that and go, if I have clarity, I know that's not it. This is another thing you can do. If you're not sure, like you're like, no, I really understand it now, I really got clarity on this, you need to just keep asking why. When you keep asking why, you're going to realize, I can't answer that question. Well, you had the delusion of believing in the clarity. Okay? So, for example, you say, we had one, I'm not in an anxious state, I'm in this even keel, right? Because we have that in modernity, right? It's an extension of early Greek philosophy, like you find the balance point, right? And everything in moderation, we have all that all the time. You find that midway point. And so we believe that the midway point is real. And all I got to do is figure out how to be in this balanced state. Do you see? So sometimes, for example, yin and yang and wuji. Wuji sounds like it's the balance point between yin and yang. Do you see that? But it's not. It's the deconstruction of yin and yang. It's not a midway point between yin and yang. There's no yin and yang in Wuji. Do you get that? Now, how does that make sense? That doesn't make sense. There's nothing to make sense about it. If you find any clarity on it, you're already wrong. This is not about an intellectual understanding. It's about an experience, an actual experience. But we'll say stuff like in moderation and find the balance point, right? So we're like, I got anxiety on one side, I got depression on the other, and I need to find this even keel in the middle. You could do this thing. Is that even keel? Is that universal and permanent? Come on, grow up, man. Grow. Is it even possible? Do you understand? Like, you live a certain age, and it's. I hope, although I have heard. Today I heard of this 63-year-old woman that is, struggling with the politics of today. It's like, man, freaking start preparing for death. Let it go. That's where I'm at. It's like, this is really not the problem that should get you in an existential crisis. This is delusion that there's this point where if I get it all right, do you see, then I'll feel good. Do you see that? Like that, and as if that one point that I get all right is going to last there for forever and go with me everywhere. Again, at a certain point in your maturity, you got to wake up and go, that's just not true. That's just not true. But it makes sense at first because it speaks to our modern paradigms. The balance point in the middle. Neither anxious nor depressed. Right? One with everything. Do you see these? They're all the t-shirt slogans I was talking about. Okay? We're not after the t-shirt slogan. We're after the experience. You want the experience in your training. That's your North Star. Not the understanding. Not the words, not the discourse. If you haven't had the experience, you have to keep training. Do you get it? What that experience is going to be like, you don't know from here. So the answer is, what's divine communion? You should have said, I don't know. And now you take every one of those t-shirt slogans. What's peace? I don't know. What is the midway point between anxiety and depression? I don't know. If you answer and come to your training with that mind, as opposed to the surety or the reinterpretation or the refiltering through the ego tripartite mind, you have a chance. But when what I'm saying gets filtered through what you did or what you heard or then you don't have a chance. You're going to do something else. You're going to do something else, just like your Ikkyo is going to be something else. All right? You won't be able to do what you see me do. Okay? That's the whole nature of the relationship. If I'm not going to put myself where I can do what I see you do, then there's no point to the lineage. There's no point to the sensei-deshi relationship. Do you get it? There's just no point. We don't have to have maximum speed. You could, you probably should, but you do need alignment. Do you know what I mean? You do need teacher-deshi alignment. You can't have a skew. There's no point, okay? Any questions or comments? Okay, go back every once in a while at your pace, pick something up, read it again, listen again, watch the video again. Okay? You do that on a regular basis. It doesn't have to be every day, it doesn't have to be all day, but it should be continuous because you want that alignment.